It does exactly what you see it do, year in, year out, right? It moves east to west in cycles over your head, resets back into the same cycles, year after year after year, for all verifiable history. What exactly is it? Nobody can test that. How far away is it? Nobody can test that. What medium is it in? Nobody can test that either. What can we test? We can test the surface of water, which makes up most of the known land area of the surface on the Earth. Okay, and we can test that for curvature, which would have to be there if the Earth's a globe. And we can calculate exactly how much. Make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. Like if you have 20 miles of water, there has to be approximately 290 foot of curvature. If the Earth's a globe, that would mean that there would be like byproducts of that curvature, such as things being obstructed in the distance and a geometric horizon, which would be the horizon at a certain distance based on the height of the observer. And when we go out and test for those things, there's no curvature. And then when we dig deeper, we can't find any evidence of any curvature being measured throughout all of history. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but we're not claiming to know the shape of the Earth. Right, flat's the description of the surface.
Um,
Yeah. Like we're not claiming like a flat planet or anything like that. A lot of people they try to insert the flat Earth, right? They just try to replace the globe with like a flat planet. We're definitely not claiming that. That would be silly if we were
so what
claiming
are
that.
you claiming?
We're claiming that the surface area of the Earth, when tested, has no curvature, right? Other than obviously then topography like hills and valleys and mountains and things like that. But most of the surface is water, which doesn't have any drop over distance or any curvature over distance.
I mean, from what I can tell, this channel's called 24/7 Flat Earth.
Yeah, flat's not a shape.
I mean,
Flat's the description of a surface, right? So you could, like a bumpy, smooth, flat, surface. It's not a shape. There's
yeah,
no like flat Earth, right? You're still thinking Earth as an object. We're not claiming
yeah,
to
but
know
what
the
you just
shape of the
told me
Earth.
that, yeah, okay, but flat's not a shape, but you guys are claiming that the Earth is flat.
Right. So the surface area tests flat, is observed as flat, and is utilized as flat.
Okay.
Yeah, like we all experience the Earth
Um,
as flat. I'm not saying just because we experience it as that, that's the proof, right? I'm
I
saying
could give
that's
you
like
one
a
way you could test. I could give you one way you could test for curvature,
okay, go ahead.
which people have done, and it's there, funny enough, because the Earth is not flat. You could find a lake that's at
Mhm.
least maybe a quarter mile across, um,
Yeah.
and put a laser pointer uh,
Okay.
on one edge and keep it even to the ground.
Mhm.
And then you can put something at the same height on the other side.
I
If
like
the
it.
Earth is flat, it should hit the dead center at the same height above the ground. But it doesn't. It will be above the center, proving curvature or refraction. Uh,
So it
but
actually
refraction bends light
okay.
down, not up. So then
No,
it
no, no.
must be curvature.
Refraction can deviate light up or down depending on the temperature gradient, on the vertical temperature gradient.
And what would the temperature gradient have to be then?
The temperature gradient will cause the optical density of the air to change, right? So cooler air is more dense, more optically dense than warmer air, and light will deviate towards the denser medium. Okay, so it can, if you have like cooler air down lower or warmer air down lower, it will bend up or down, right? Depending on which direction the cooler medium is in, right? That's why we have sinking or looming, right? The opposite effects of each other. And we've done these laser tests that you're talking about, right? We've done them over huge lakes, right? Like 40-kilometer laser tests using the best possible lasers we could get our hands on, right? Like teams of field engineers going out with a $30,000 laser doing a whole series of different tests, yeah, over huge distances and measuring zero curvature in these tests, right? These have been done over and over and over again, all over the world, different people, different types of lasers. We've had PhDs like Dr. John D going out with different spectrums of light using different spectrums of lasers. And zero curvature is detected in any of the tests. I don't know if you want to see some
Okay,
examples.
well, from what I've seen a group of flat earthers like yourselves performing an experiment where something similar to what I described to you. You've probably seen it before. It's quite a popular clip of the the guy raising the light above his head, and then which you're then able to see it through the little holes in like the wooden boards that they made,
Yeah, yeah.
um, proving that he is on a curved
No.
surface. I mean, you've
No,
seen
no, no.
that clip before, and not even
Yeah,
a
yeah,
flat
I've
earther
seen that
would
clip.
explain
I've
that.
seen that clip. It's ridiculous, right? It doesn't firstly it doesn't show the setup, right? It shows some close-ups of absolute moron named Jaren cutting some holes out, right? We're not checking if the holes are aligned properly. He broke the laser, right? It was supposed to be done with a laser, right? But Jaren broke the laser before the test, right? He left it on and melted the collimator to the laser or something like that, which he talks about in the hit piece, right? In the film. Okay, so then they decide because they've got it all set up, they decide to do it with a flashlight. Okay, now apparently everyone walked away from that saying, well, that was a big fail, right? That didn't really prove anything. And then they ended up editing it in a way that made it look like he debunked the flat earth. And then there was a lawsuit after because the flat earthers were trying to get their hands on the original footage, which they were promised, and then they wouldn't hand it out because they would have been able to show, look, they were lying. Um, But even like anti-flat earthers that hate flat Earth, that literally make a living debunking flat Earth, right? Even they admit that that was like a misrepresentation, right? And it wasn't a laser test. Like I'm talking about teams of field engineers going out with a $30,000 laser, right? Documenting everything from start to finish, right? Showing the whole thing in an hour-long video, and then providing a 280-page PDF doc or 180-page PDF document to go along with it. Right, it's very different than some close-up shots of a dopey-looking guy's face doing some cutting out some holes in some foam or whatever, right? Like, it doesn't really compare. And it wasn't a laser
Okay,
test either.
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I didn't know the ins and out of the test. I've just seen the viral clip, so I guess that was the
No,
context
I
behind it.
got you, man. Yeah,
That's all
most
right.
people like it's made in a way like to mock flat that's like a mockumentary against flat Earth. Um, and that guy Jaren, he's like, yeah, we don't really
Yeah, well,
well, I won't say we, but I don't really like that guy. And
in
most
terms of
people
like
I know.
people in the flat Earth community,
Mhm.
um, because I've seen a lot of YouTube videos online of, I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard of Professor Dave.
Oh, yeah, Strawman, yep, Strawman Professor Dave. Not a professor really, by the way.
Not a professor, it's just his YouTube name. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I like his videos a lot. I think they're really funny. What do you guys think of David Weiss? I mean, he's pretty prominent on that channel. I mean, Professor Dave's debated him quite a few times, and I always thought those debates were very interesting as he kind of got obliterated the entire time. But do you think
Well,
that
this
he's a
is the
valid flat
problem.
earther or is he a dumbass?
Yeah, so David Weiss, right, he has a few good arguments when it comes to explaining the absolute basics to some people, but then he just butchers it with some really ridiculous arguments, right? Like he claims a flat Earth model. Okay, and his flat Earth model is the AE map projection, which is a globe
Glow
projection.
projection, yeah.
Yeah, and then, he'll say that the stars and the sun and the moon, move a certain way above this AE map projection. So that's retarded,
Uh,
right? That's
It's ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, whenever he
And
actually talks to someone who's smart and scientifically gifted, he completely falls apart, and it's very obvious in those debates.
well,
Um,
so does Professor Dave, unfortunately, right? Like when he debated Austin Whitsitt, people do reviews of these debates. There's a guy called Bruce McGuire, also known as Mind Shock, right? He's not a flat earther. He just does unbiased reviews on debates, and he's like a professional when it comes to logic, right? To
Okay.
fallacies and things like that. And he'll go through the debate and he'll pause every time there's a fallacy, and he'll explain how it was a fallacy, which fallacy it was, and how it was illogical, blah blah blah. And he'll have a counter to how many fallacies each person made throughout the debate. Professor Dave actually holds the record for the most fallacies out of any debate that this guy has ever reviewed. And
Okay.
what Professor Dave does is he tricks people that don't really know the proper flat Earth arguments, and he'll pull out a bad flat Earth argument, which is fine to do, right? Because we would also disagree with that flat Earth argument, but he'll then say, "Oh, this is what flat Earthers claim," and then he'll debunk the poor argument, and he'll do it in like a very mocking way, right? Which might seem funny to some people that think flat Earth's a big joke, right? But it's very fallacious the way he does it. But there are a lot of bad flat Earth arguments getting around, just like there's a lot of globe Earthers that say the dumbest things you could ever possibly hear as well. But we're not going to take those and then make videos about it and say, well, this is what globe Earthers all say, right? And
Okay.
yeah. So
Well,
he's
that's quite
very
interesting. I
fallacious.
mean,
Yeah.
if could you drop me the link for that YouTube
Yeah,
video you
man.
were talking about of the debate
Yeah,
review? I'd actually
sure.
like to see that. No,
Hmm.
because I do enjoy his videos, and I think whenever you're talking about how he like kind of summarizes, really basic flat Earth points that kind of are outdated to you guys, um, I think there are a lot of people that still believe in that flat Earth model, with the ice wall and shit like that.
Hmm.
From what I know, like this little community here, this little flat Earth community in Discord, is kind of it seems to me like a bit of a minority in the flat Earth scene. Like from
Unfortunately,
what I've
yes.
encountered online, a lot of people are still believing that real archaic and
Yeah, like if you go on, if when I scroll through my Facebook feed, right, I'm not even a member of any of these flat Earth channels, but for some reason they all show up on my feed, and oh my god, it pisses me off. Like I'll be scrolling down, and the memes that they're posting and things like that, I'm like, oh, these are the worst arguments. That it's almost like it's like controlled opposition or something like that. These are fake flat earthers putting out the worst possible memes and arguments to just make flat Earth seem ridiculous. And if it is actually flat earthers, then yeah, it's something that needs to be addressed. We're trying our best to
yeah.
try to put a stop to the bad arguments and things like that, but it takes time to iron all this
I
stuff
mean,
out.
some of the memes and stuff could totally just be mockery. I mean, it's a very easy subject to make mockery of, and that's not me being sly, but like it's obviously a very not even a controversial subject, but if you ever bring it up in a real life conversation, people will look at you funny. If you
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that, oh, I'm a
that's
flat earther,
because of the
because it's not
propaganda
normalized.
behind. The
But
propaganda makes it look like a joke, right? If you type in flat Earth and you hit images on Google, you'll just see a bunch of ridiculous like floating discs in space with all water falling off the edges and things like that. We're not claiming that kind of thing at all. Now, most people mock it because they don't understand the arguments, and once they do, like if they're willing to actually sit down and listen and hear the arguments, like they're not mocking anymore. They're like, damn, it makes a lot of
yeah,
sense. I'm gonna
totally.
have to look into this a bit further, because we're not making any crazy claims at all, and we can
Yeah.
back up all our claims
Um,
with empirical evidence. Um, so
you know what?
so um,
I
Blue Jumper just
yeah,
put the video in the side chat, but
I'll watch that later.
here's the actual channel of the guy who makes them, Bruce McGuire. Probably best to watch it on there. But if you want to watch a good debate, watch Professor Dave versus Austin Whitsitt. It's not the greatest one, but Whitsitt is 100 times better than David Weiss.
Is
Witsitt's a
this
super
the
smart
is this
guy.
the guy that was on the 24-hour sun expedition thing? That
Yeah. That was him.
almost it?
Yep. Hmm.
Didn't he convert to Globe?
No,
Am I
absolutely
am I
not.
correct on
No, no,
that?
no.
I
He's
know there was a few people on that expedition that converted to the Globe
It
Earth.
was just three flat earthers that went. It was Austin Whitsitt, and Jaren, right? Jaren's the same guy from the video that you were talking about, the Netflix video where he did the
Yes.
flashlight thing. That guy's a moron, we haven't liked most flat earthers that I know have been trying to, educate people on how ridiculous that guy is for years. Right? He never really made technical flat earth content. All he ever did was make like videos teasing NASA, like fakery and things like that. Right? Never really going over the technical flat earth arguments or anything
More
like that. And he,
conspiratorial shit.
well, yes and no. He also believed in like the David Weiss style model with the ice wall and the AE map, and he believed that that was the model of the flat Earth, right? Whereas any true flat earther will tell you that we don't have a model, right? We're not claiming to know the shape of the Earth, and we don't claim to have a full working scientific model of this complex system that we live in. It's not even possible. The globe doesn't even have what a lot of people's expect flat earthers to pull out when they say, do you have a model? Right? You can model little bits and pieces here and there, but there's no such thing as like a fully all incorporated globe model or flat earth model or anything like that. And models
Yeah.
need to be tested against reality as well. But yeah, Jaren had like his own like ridiculous little model. Like if you typed in flat earth right now into GIFs, it'll come up with like, I'll try to type it in right now. Okay, flat earth. All right, kind of like this thing. Right, that was like kind of like what Jaren. That's a simplified version, obviously, but
Yeah.
that was
I mean,
what
that's ridiculous.
Jaren thought the flat Earth was. Right, obviously on this, you can't have a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Okay, so because he was so dedicated to this layout and this silly argument that this was the model and this was the way the sun and the moon worked, then he went back to the globe. Apparently, I don't know. I think he was always whining about not having any money, and he saw the anti-flat earthers getting all of the millions of views and whatnot, right, on their videos, and I think he was maybe wanting to cash in on that. I'm just speculating, by the way. Maybe he
Yeah.
was trying to cash
Possibly
in on
aggressive.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Look, he was charging, like, before this even happened, right? He was trying to charge people like $200 to have like an online dinner with him where he'll like teach you how to become a better man and just cryptocurrency bullshit.
All right.
Like, trying
Sigma
to,
grind set.
yeah, yeah.
Right. I
So,
get
yeah,
you.
I don't, yeah. So
I mean,
he went back to the globe, but
do you think
yeah,
um on your flat Earth, would a 24-hour sun be possible?
but it has to be possible. Like so I would say that when it comes to the mechanics of the sky, it could be something more complex than we can even comprehend, right? Like what is the sun? What medium is it up there? How does it all work? It could be something more than we can comprehend. Like we can't test it, we can't test how it works. But whatever's happening in the sky, right? Here's the basic logic. If you measure your floor flat, it doesn't matter what's happening on the ceiling. Right? Anything could be happening on the ceiling of your house, right? But if the floor measures flat, whatever's happening on the ceiling isn't going to change the fact that there's no curvature. You're not standing on a curved surface. That's the logic here. We can empirically test the Earth over and over again, anywhere on the Earth, and not find any curvature. And then once you start looking at how did the globe Earth become a thing in the first place, you're not going to find that people went out and started testing the Earth and doing measurements and things like that. That's not how the globe came to be a thing in the first place. Okay, so there's actually no empirical evidence that there is actually the Earth curvature that would have to exist for the Earth to be a globe. So whatever's happening in the sky, it's pretty cool, right? But we can't empirically validate exactly what's going on. We agree that there's two apparent points of rotation in the sky, right? This southern celestial point of rotation and the northern celestial point of
Yeah.
rotation. But exactly how all of that works, how does the mechanism works? There's flat earthers that make models. Okay, so there's people that have models of it that can show how a 24-hour sun can work over a flat surface. But I'm sure those models have a bunch of issues as well, right? So we don't subscribe to a model that hasn't perfectly been validated and isn't empirical, right? It isn't able to be tested perfectly against reality and probably has a bunch of holes. Okay, so we got the globe model, if you want to call it that, or the globe, the way that they say that the globe works. Let's call it that. Or it's not a scientific model, but whatever, let's just call it a model for now anyway. So in the globe model, we've got a bunch of flaws, right? It's a flawed model when it comes to the basic essentials that you need to have the globe, right? Like the curvature, the motion, the gas pressure argument, that kind of thing. And you've got some flat earthers that have some shitty models, right? Where they're like, oh, the 24-hour sun works in this model, but then they probably have a whole bunch of issues with them as well. So you've got a bunch of shitty, flawed models where people are trying to model something that you can't really model empirically because a whole bunch of assumptions and guesswork is going to be involved. So we here at 24/7 try to stick with empirical evidence and go from there.
Look, I get that. I do. But the issue I have with this entire thing about having no model is it just seems to me that because nothing actually works, you could have, again, you said it yourself, you could have a flat Earth model that someone creates that makes it so that the 24-hour sun is possible, but then this thing happening over on the other side of the Earth, that to do with the constellations or whatever is not possible. So like
No, they
basically
can
none of
model
the
it
flat
so
Earth.
all of the
Yeah, yeah.
constellations and everything work just fine when it
Yeah,
comes to the
totally. But
sky.
like none of the flat Earth models that have been made um have worked with absolutely everything that we need it to work with. You
Yeah,
know what
so
I mean?
neither does the globe, right? Neither does the globe.
But I don't
That's the
understand how
problem.
the globe doesn't, because we can predict things using our
No,
model.
they're not predicting anything, right? So you can predict
Well,
anything that
we can
happens in
predict
the
solar
sky with a flat
eclipses.
Earth model. Hold on a second. Right? So you can predict anything that happens in the sky using a flat map with using the celestial sphere model above that, right? And a personal celestial dome of vision, right? Which is the way that everyone views the sky. This is the problem though, right? The globe model or the globe claims a radius value, right? It claims that water is bending and curving, right? But there's no evidence of that whatsoever. In fact, the thousands and thousands of observations and tests that we've done confirm that there is no curvature, and there isn't a single one from the globe side that validates that such a thing exists. That's the biggest crux of the globe model. Okay, there's also no proof that the Earth is rotating around the sun. There's no proof of that. There's no proof that the Earth even moves at all. So if you want to claim a globe model that predicts it, it's not predicting anything in the sky, right? It's post-diction. Okay, it's everything's cyclical. Everything happens over and over again in cycles. Okay, so the eclipses, right? That was from the Saros cycle, which was created by the flat earthers, right? Many thousands
But
of years ago.
NASA doesn't use the Saros cycle anymore. They use
They do use it, right? They do use it. They've built upon it because we have more people on the earth, and we have more specific information about exactly where the eclipse will be at certain parts of the earth, right? Where they didn't have a way to spread that information back then, right? So obviously over time, over thousands of years, you're going to improve on the Saros cycle. Okay, but they still use the Saros cycle. NASA still uses it. They've just improved on it, right? Which is, of course, you're going to be able to do that when you get, all of this money to do that kind of thing. But when it comes to the sky, right, that's just based off the celestial sphere, right? The ancients are the ones that came up with this idea to begin with, right? And it wasn't until Pythagoras and then people after Pythagoras, in about like around 500 to 400 BC, when they started through like these were like cult leaders essentially, like Pythagoras, the cult of Pythagoras. He was literally like a mystical leader, a crazy dude, right? And
yeah,
he thought that like the universe was like musical and planets had musical notes and all this crazy stuff, right? Could get into
yeah.
that, but essentially he said that the sphere is like a perfect shape, and because of the imaginary way, right, that they view the sky, they had the celestial sphere. Over time, they inverted the celestial sphere, and they said, "As above, so below," because the circles are spheres are the most perfect shape. Because the heavens are perfect, therefore the earth must also be perfect, right? It has to be. And that's how they inverted the celestial sphere into the terrestrial sphere, which is the latitude longitude system that we still use to this day, which is the WGS 84. No one went out and actually measured, and they're like, "Oh, guys, we've gone out and checked. We've done some tests and measurements, and here's our results. And it's actually a globe. For thousands of years, we were wrong. It's actually a globe. Here, you can go test it yourself." No, they didn't do that, right? It was through philosophical reasoning and that kind of thing. It wasn't anything to do with because they actually empirically validated the Earth was a globe. Right, and that's how the globe still exists to this day. It's a spherical coordinate system mistaken as a terra firma.
I mean, but why do you think NASA is perpetuating this lie? And I mean, they're spending trillions, possibly. I mean, God knows, an unfathomable. That's a difficult word to say. A lot of money on perpetuating this supposed lie, and they've been doing it for a
Yeah, but
very
where's
long
that
time.
money?
So
Okay, well, we can't prove why someone everyone knows the government would lies. You could ask anyone, does the government lie? Or obviously, everyone's going to say yes, or most people.
yeah, but
Okay,
now we have
they're not
independent.
using their own money to begin with. They're using taxpayer money, and where exactly is that money going? Is all of the money going into whatever they do? What do they even do? Right? They do some little childish science class experiments on the ISS and things like that. Right? What are they really doing? Right? When they got interviewed and asked why they don't go back to the moon, they said they destroyed that technology and it would be a painful process to build it back. So they're not really doing much, not doing a great deal. You know, even the things that people think they invented, like Velcro and air conditioning and things they didn't invent those things at all. That's ridiculous, myth. That's a myth that happened.
Yeah,
You can look
I'll
up
I'll be back.
Velcro on Velcro.com right now and see who actually invented Velcro, not NASA.
Yeah, on that point, I'll just be back in 10 minutes or so. I gotta go real quick.
Yeah, yeah, no
Uh,
worries, man. Catch you,
no worries.
catch you soon.
Well, catch you later.